Hey there everybody, Scotia here with another video for Mortal Kombat 1, and one that I was honestly not expecting to make anytime soon, if ever really given the subject matter, but only just after 24 hours following the reveal of Mortal Kombat 1, the game has already been hit by its first leak, which is very unfortunate for NetherRealm Studios. I know this is probably the last thing they wanted to happen, but this is one of those leaks that was pretty much just completely outside of their control. I think this was first posted on Reddit, but basically somebody discovered that Amazon Italy had put up a pre-order page for the Mortal Kombat 1 Premium Edition, which comes with the Combat Pack, and this was discovered about 3 hours before the pre-orders went up for everybody, because at the time that I'm recording this now, the pre-orders have only been up for about half an hour, so it was about 3 hours early. And in this leak, which you'll see on the screen now, it's all in Italian, but you know, the words that stand out are the words that matter really, so you'll have no problem following it, you know, without a translation. But basically, this page on the Amazon Italy listing for the premium edition of MK1 pretty much just lists the entire combat pack in terms of what's in it, because we knew from the information in the FAQ and stuff like that was released yesterday following the announcement of MK1, we knew that the first combat pack was going to have 6 playable characters and 5 cameo fighters. We still don't know what cameo fighters are. There's really been no word on that or anything in terms of an explanation, which is a bit confusing because there's a thing in the cameo fighters part that you may have noticed already that is very kind of contradictory a bit into what we've already heard, depending on what these cameo fighters actually are, but I'll cover that in a minute. But yeah, so basically we pretty much know now who's going to be in the first combat pack, which is crazy because the DLC has leaked before the base roster, at all, which is crazy. I honestly can't remember the last time if this happened, if it ever has happened before. I have no idea. I can't think of an occasion where DLC characters have leaked for a fighting game before the main roster. So, like I said, very unfortunate for NetherRealm. This is really, like I said, the last thing they would have wanted. But, it's still exciting. And again, if you've noticed one of the names on here, and if you see my other videos on this channel, you'll know that there's one name on here that I'm very, very excited for. But yeah, so I'm basically just going to go through what's in the combat pack and just, list it out. But we'll start with these 6 characters that will be added as playable characters post-release, and they are Quan Chi, Ermac, and Takeda on the MK character side, and for the guest characters we have Omni-Man, Homelander, and Peacemaker. And Homelander and Peacemaker I think were leaked beforehand, or they were rumoured beforehand. I think Homelander was a little bit less certain, but Peacemaker was a character I remember being mentioned as fairly certain by certain sources that they were going to be DLC in the first combat pack. So no real surprise there. Omni-Man is definitely a surprise. I know, as far as I know, he wasn't mentioned in any rumours or leaks or anything like that. So that is a surprise for sure. And then on the MK character side, we have Quan Chi, Ermac, and Takeda. Interestingly, these are all characters that were in MKX. Normally, you kind of get usually there's one character wasn't in X or wasn't in 11 that you could have expected, but no, all 3 of these characters weren't in 11 but were in X, so that's interesting. Quan Chi is whatever to me. He's probably the character on the returning MK side that I'm probably the least interested in, but I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just not hugely into Quan Chi. I think he's cool, and I have no problem with him being added. I think he'll be a good addition if he was base roster or DLC or Combat Pack 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever. But he's definitely the one on the least whatever, cool that he's in. I'll skip Ermac because he'll be the one I have the most to say about. Then we get Takeda, who I'm very, very excited for. If you watched the video I did where it was the top 10 characters that need to be in MK, at the time 12 but now MK1, Takeda was a character I had on that list who I was very desperate. I very much wanted him in the game. I thought it was a crime he wasn't in 11 after being so prominent in X. He was easily, I think, one of, if not, arguably the best of the combat kits that were introduced in MKX, so it was just so weird that he was, completely missing in 11. But, they rectified that. He is in MK1, or he's going to be in MK1 as a DLC character, so I'm really, really happy with that. That's great news. And then the beauty, the joy, the happiness I feel when I can say this, that Ermac is going to be in MK1. Obviously DLC. And I've seen a lot of people pissed about this, and I get it. Obviously DLC is not ideal. For me personally, I don't really care. I just want him in the game, even if I had to wait. Even if he was the last character added to the game, I really don't care. I just want him in the game. So, you know, like, I get people being like, oh, it's bullshit, we have to pay for Ermac, what the hell, like, you know, but it's like, for me, it's like, I really don't care, like, I'm just so happy he's in the game, because when you think about it, it's a lot better than how he was in MK11, where he was just, like, stuck on a spike in the crypt for, like, 4 years, or however long MK11 ended up, you know, being supported or lasting, you know, until now. So yeah, like, I hands down, I will take Ermac as DLC. Like, I couldn't give a shit. Like I said, like, even if he was the last character I added to the game, like, 2 years from now, I don't care. I just wanted him. So I'm very much happy about that. I'm so happy about that. Because again, if you watch the video I did, like the top 10 MK characters I won in the game, Ermac was number 1. He's been my favourite MK character pretty much since I was a kid, ever since I played MK Deception when I was a kid on the PS2. I have just loved Ermac so much. I adored him in MK9. Wasn't that keen on him in MKX. I never really ended up playing him that much because I just didn't like his design. So, you know, obviously now it's kind of like, now that he's confirmed to be in the game, like, now the next worry is like, is he going to be like a decaying zombie body, or is he going to be like more MK9, which is my favourite design of Ermac, hands down. Obviously, I would prefer the more MK-esque design, or even something close to what he had in MK11. But you know what? At the moment, I'll leave that concerns and all that for later on. For now, I'm just so happy that he's going to be in the game. He's going to be in the first DLC pack. Like, as you know, like I said, it's all I can ask for. Like, I didn't really care. Like, I'm not bothered about him. To be honest, I was actually even expecting him to be DLC, because I thought, in my mind, he was either him or Smoke for DLC. And I was actually thinking, literally earlier today, I was thinking, like, if it was going to be between them two, I thought Smoke would be in the base roster, and Ermac would probably be best for DLC. And obviously that's what's happening. So, well, I mean, obviously for Ermac that's what's happening. We don't know about Smoke yet, but one can hope. But yeah, just so happy about that, man. That's really just made my day. Like, just having that thing of, like, yes, he's DLC, but just knowing so soon that, like, my guy is back. He's going to be in the game. Like, I will be able to get my hands on him eventually in this new style, in this new era. Oh, man, I can't wait. Like, so happy with that. I'm not really going to comment on the guest characters, because honestly I couldn't give a shit about guest characters. I used to be really against them back in the past. I used to hate them so much. I was like, to this day, I think the only DLC character I have never bought for an NRS game is Leatherface, because I was so pissed that he got added. Like, that I just refused to buy him. Like, I bought Alien and Predator because, like, at least I liked them, but, like, I was never a Leatherface fan. But, like, yeah, I just didn't bother with even buying him, because I was just so like, oh, fuck guests. And, like, in a way I still am a bit like, fuck guests, but at the same time it's like, it's whatever. Like, I've just accepted it now. Like, it is what it is. We're never going to escape it. We're always going to get at least like 50% of all DLC and all NRS games to be guests. So it's like, to me it's like there's no point arguing and whining and pissing and moaning about it. Like, it is what it is. I've seen a lot of people kind of mad at the idea of, like, not Peacemaker, Homelander and Omni-Man, as, like, on paper they do seem kind of similar, but I've not watched any of them. Like, I've not even watched Peacemaker. I don't watch much TV at all, to be honest. But yeah, from what I've seen and heard, I think Homelander would be more of, like, a zoner type, and I think Omni-Man would be, like, more rushed down in your face, just from what I've heard and stuff. So yeah, like, it's not, to be honest, the way I see it in terms of, like, repetition, in terms of, like, styles and concepts, it's like MK11's guests, when I look at them, like, when you actually think about MK11's guests and the ones they added, like Terminator, Rambo, Spawn, etc., like, most of the guests in MK9 had guns, and they all play differently. Like, they didn't all play the same. They weren't all, like, redundant. People liked them. People liked playing RoboCop. People liked playing Rambo and Spawn and Joker. So it was like, you know, that wasn't an issue. But, like, I get it. Like, on paper, it is very similar. And I'm surprised that they're putting these two together. But, like, at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I think they're going to probably be spaced out so they're not, like, right next to each other or close to each other. So at the end of the day, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But yeah, other than that, I have nothing to say about the guest character side of the DLC pack. Like I said, I just don't really care. Like, it's there. I'll probably end up buying the combat pack anyway, because, you know, I'm just a mark for MK, but, like, I'm not really going to put that much time into any of them. But, like, 100% I'm playing the shit out of Quan Chi, Ermac and Takeda. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm playing them. So that's the combat pack side of it. And then we get the cameo side of the pack. And like I said, we still don't really know how these are exactly going to work. I assume we're going to find out soon. when we get gameplay. Again, fingers crossed for next Wednesday at the PlayStation Showcase. I really, really want to see this game and just find out how it's going to look and play, etc. But, you know, we got 5 cameo characters, and I think this is going to give us a rough idea of how these are going to work. But we have Tremor, Johnny Cage, Chameleon with a K, so the female version, Movado, and Farah. And I think overall these are good choices. Tremor is a bummer. I know a lot of people are probably going to be bummed about Tremor because he was really cool in MKX. I was really on the fence. I didn't expect him, like, straight up. I wasn't like, oh, Tremor's a lock for MK1 or 12 or whatever. Like, I wasn't never that confident in him. But I thought he had a decent chance. So it's a shame, you know, that he's pretty much doomed to the cameo slot. But, you know, maybe doomed isn't the right word, because then we get Johnny Cage. And this is the interesting one, because Johnny Cage, I'm pretty sure, has already been confirmed as a playable character in the FAQ. So I don't really know why he's here now. There are some theories I've heard and some ideas in terms of, like, I've heard people say, like, maybe this is like Johnny Cage with, like, quotation marks around it, as in it's his, like, stunt double that he had in MK11. So I think that's perfectly plausible. I think that's, you know, I would not be surprised if that's the case, because I think that there's some, like, hyphens on the names like Jean-Claude Van Damme and Omni-Man that are missing, so, like, obviously it's not perfect, like punctuation and stuff like that. So maybe it's just missing that and something like that. So maybe it's that. Someone also pointed out, because it says at the end, like, there's a Jean-Claude Van Damme skin, which we knew, like, we already knew about that. I mentioned that in the video yesterday about the you know, from the FAQ, so that was known. But I believe it says on the FAQ, it says that like cameo fighters will be added like later or something like that. But the Jean-Claude Van Damme skin was said to be like coming at release for Johnny Cage. So that is kind of like the mixed messaging of, like, surely if Johnny is going to be a cameo fighter and not playable, why would there be a Van Damme skin at release? So what I basically think is that, like, either option A is what I said, like Johnny's going to be playable with the Van Damme skin, and then we're going to get, like, finger quotation marks here, Johnny Cage, which is a stunt double, as a cameo. Or option B, cameos could also be playable characters. So like I said, you know, maybe for Tremor, he might have a chance down the line if enough people, you know, pitch for him to eventually make it. But yeah, that's kind of the confusing thing. But like I said, we'll probably know more once we actually, like, you know, find out what cameos, like, actually are, like, in the first place. So yeah, that's that. The only other cameos here are Chameleon, Movado, and Farah, and honestly, these are, like, pretty much the type of choices I expected when I, like, first heard of the cameo fighters and kind of, like, assumed what they might be. I think Chameleon is honestly a really good choice. Like, I wouldn't say is like a popular character or anything, or else she'd be playable, but, like, I think is a character that has her kind of, like, niche, you know, fan club that really like her, and, like, honestly, I would not be surprised if people actually ended up buying the pass just to get her. I doubt there'll be that many people, but, like, you know, maybe 1 or 2 people out there may be like, oh shit, Chameleon, I really want her in the game, like, as a cameo fighter. Farah is an interesting one, purely because it's like, it's just her, like, no Tor or anything like that. Maybe Tor's gonna be his own separate cameo fighter, so that's interesting. Again, probably was never gonna be a character that was actually gonna make it into the game playable, like, probably one of the most, if not the least, like, popular character that was introduced in MKX. I really liked Farah Tor, honestly. I thought they were really cool. But, you know, not many people did, so, you know, now she's a cameo fighter, and I assume the same is going to be for Tor. So that's a shame, but at least understandable. Movado, I think, is actually really cool. A couple of weeks ago, like, actually, probably, like, about a month ago now, I randomly went on, like, a random, like, tear of, like, classic, you know, PS2 MK games, and I actually, for the first time, like, really put, like, serious time into Deadly Alliance, and I actually tried Movado out, and I get why he's, like, one of the more forgotten characters and one of the more ignored ones, but, like, I thought, you know, there were elements to him that I thought were cool, that I was like, you know, I'd actually like to see this in, like, a modern game. Never ever once thought he would ever be playable, so I'm not surprised by that, but, like, the fact they're actually, like, doing Movado, like, in some way, just acknowledging him and, like, having him actually be in the game, I think is really cool. So I give big thumbs up to that. Like, that's a choice to me that is perfect for, like, cameo fighters, in terms of, like, here's a character that otherwise we were probably never going to see again, but with the cameo system, it's like, you know what, we could have Movado in this game. He's not going to be playable, but he's there, and I really like that, so that's really, really cool. But yeah, I think that's it, really. I know some people are probably going to be, like, a bit confused, maybe, as to why I'm acting like this is all so certain and confirmed. Like, I've been going on, like, about Ermac and stuff, about, like, oh, you know, so happy he's confirmed to be in the game. I can definitely imagine some people are probably like, hang on, how is this confirmed anything? This could be fake. So the fact this was on Amazon Italy, because I saw this with my own eyes, the screenshot you've actually been looking at for the majority of this video is mine. Like, I took this at, you know, 3 this afternoon, like today. So like that's my screenshot. I saw this with my own eyes. I went on Reddit, I followed the link, I saw it before, and I saw it again when I went back and it got taken down. So I saw the whole thing. Like this wasn't like, you know, a screenshot of a screenshot. This is my own screenshot. Like I saw this. And the thing about Amazon is that like they don't, like you can't just go on Amazon and like type whatever. Like the stuff that gets put on Amazon for these product pages is pretty much almost always, maybe outside of some like specific circumstances I don't know of, but for the vast majority of, you know, the product pages out there, the stuff that like the product details and stuff like that, like it is usually provided by the seller or the distributor or whatever you want to call them. So in this case it would be Warner Brothers and or NetherRealm themselves. So like this, what I think has happened here is, I think obviously being prepared for the pre-orders to go live today, I think Warner Brothers or NetherRealm or both basically put out all this information, send it to all the distributors, so all the Amazon regions, all the PlayStation Store regions, the Steam Store, the Xbox Store, you know, Best Buy, you know, here and everywhere. And they've sent this all out, but I think there's been a note applied to it where it's like, oh, you know, only put out this amount of specific information when you put the page up, but then save this information, you know, until this certain point, which is when they would like officially like announce this. So like probably months from now, probably closer to September when the game is coming out. But what I think is like this, so there's that note that is basically telling the, you know, the online retailer or something like that, be like, you know, here's all the info, but don't put everything up until we say so. But I think basically Amazon Italy has just missed that note and just put it all up, and then it's just there for everyone to see. And then obviously, you know, people found it, and people like this spread on Twitter really quickly. Like when I first tweeted about it, I was like, I'm not going to be like, oh, I was the first to go on about it. I definitely wasn't the first, but like I was one of the first that I saw talk about it. And then obviously like other people, like other like people in the MK community and like, you know, people like Rufelmonger and stuff like that, like they all started like, you know, putting like videos and tweets out there. So like once it spread like wildfire, like that's when like people went back to the page and realized it was gone. So yeah, like as far as I'm concerned, like this is a done deal. Like this is as confirmed as it gets until it's officially announced itself. So, you know, if you're unhappy with this, you know, leaked Kombat pack, you know, I'm sorry that it's not, you know, that it didn't end up being for you. Personally, I can see why. Like I said earlier, I could not care any less about the guests involved and all that stuff. Most of the cameos I think are cool, but like I said, once I know more about the cameo system, I'll decide if I actually like want to give a shit about it or not. 100% I'm so on board for Quan Chi, Ermac and Takeda, especially Ermac. I cannot wait to see them. But for now, like, I'm honestly just happy that I have Takeda, and especially Ermac. Like, I really can't ask for much now at this point. Like, obviously I still have characters I'd like to see, but like, I'm going to be definitely a bit more easy in terms of like, oh, I would like this character, and I hope this character shows up. Like, I still hope for that, but like, I'm not definitely going to be like, obviously if we didn't know this whole like marketing period, I would have been like, I want to see Ermac, where's Ermac? I've not seen Ermac, this is bullshit. But now that I know that like, he's going to be coming at some point, like, that's all out the window now. It's like, I'm just game to just enjoy what they're going to be showing us and everything. So yeah, that's the video. I didn't want this to be too long, but it's probably going to be end up close to 20 minutes again, so I failed again on that regard. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to go about, to be honest, because I was going to wait to see if like when the pre-orders actually go up, to see if like they would just have like show this off like officially, if like Amazon Italy just like jumped the gun like a couple hours early. But no, it's very much looking like they jumped the gun like a few months early, which is bad. Like I said earlier in the video, I do feel really bad for NRS. This is really unfortunate, but you know what, if anything, it's made me more excited for the game. It's made me just more kind of just hyped to see everything coming up, knowing that like the character I wanted the most is coming. So yeah, like it's a shame, but at the end of the day, you know, these characters will come out, this will be a thing of the past. We'll look back on this video and be like, oh yeah, remember when Ermac and the Kombat pack all leaked? Wow, that was wild. But yeah, it sucks for now, but you know, we'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, that's basically the video. Like, I didn't really want to go too long into it, but just kind of describe it, what was leaked and my thoughts on it and stuff like that. So that's all done. So I'm going to go for now then. Like I said, I was not expecting to make this video so soon after the previous one, but you know, needs must. Ermac was involved, and I had to just make a video and just get my excitement out there that, you know, this is happening, and like my guy is finally, coming back after the shit show that was his presence in MK11. So very, very excited about that. But for now, I shall see you all later, probably next week, for the state of play. I'm still very confident we're going to see MK1 gameplay there, but who knows what else might get shown up. I might have to make a video about other stuff even if MK1 doesn't show up. But until then, I shall see you all later. Goodbye.
We await your return, warrior.